Today, we're going to talk about something so fundamental you probably never even think about it, your own reality. Because it turns out your brain doesn't just see the world, it literally builds the world you experience every single second. So let's just kick things off with a huge question. One that sounds simple, but is actually one of the biggest puzzles in all of neuroscience. Is the world you see, hear, and feel an exact copy of what's really out there, or is something else going on? You know, most of us go through life with this common sense idea that our senses are basically like a perfect high-def camera, just passively recording everything. But the scientific reality? Oh, it is so much cooler than that. Your brain is an active artist, a builder that literally constructs your reality from a constant flood of messy, incomplete data. So let's really pull back the curtain on this whole idea. We're going to dismantle this myth of passive perception and really look at the machinery inside your head that takes raw, chaotic sensation and turns it into the stable, colorful, meaningful world you live in. This is the one idea I really want you to hold on to through all of this. Your brain isn't just sitting in a dark theater watching a movie of the outside world. No way. It's the director, the set designer, the sound mixer, and the special effects artist, all rolled into one. It is a builder. Okay, so if your brain is a builder, what are its raw materials? What's it working with? Because it's definitely not getting a perfect, crystal clear blueprint of the world. It's getting something much, much more basic. See, every single thing you experience starts as a physical stimulus. Light waves, sound waves, you name it. Then, your sensory organs do this amazing trick called transduction, where they turn that physical thing into an electrical signal. But here's the absolute kicker. What actually arrives in your brain isn't a picture. It's not a sound. It's just a noisy, messy stream of electrical spikes. That's it. That is the only thing your brain has to build your entire universe. Now, there's a whole field of science that studies this connection, called psychophysics, and they found a major clue. For example, if you double the physical brightness of a light, you don't perceive it as twice as bright. The link isn't a direct one-to-one copy. And that right there is the smoking gun. It proves your brain isn't just a messenger relaying info, it's actively transforming it. So this leads to a huge question, right? If all the brain gets is this messy, staticky electrical data, how on earth does it produce the stable, coherent, high-definition world that you experience every day? How does it turn all that noise into meaning? Well, the answer is one of the coolest ideas in all of cognitive science: mental models. You can think of these like your brain's internal blueprints or rule books for how it thinks the world works. They're not just static pictures, they're dynamic, working theories that your brain uses to interpret all that incoming static, to fill in the huge gaps, and, this is the most important part, to predict what's going to happen next. And you are using these models constantly without even knowing it. I mean, your brain literally uses a model to fill in the blind spot that exists in each of your eyes, so you just perceive a complete, seamless image. It's also the thing that takes the sight of a glass shattering and the sound of the crash and magically stitches them together into a single, unified event. So this is really the heart of it. Perception isn't a passive, backward-looking process. It's an active, forward-looking process. Your brain is constantly making its best guess about what's out there, and then it uses the data that comes in to update and correct those guesses. It's this incredible continuous loop of prediction and correction. Now, this predictive system, it has some really fascinating consequences. Things that we might call biases or glitches in our thinking are actually just built-in features of a brain that's designed for speed and efficiency, not for perfect, slow, logical accuracy. Let's take loss aversion. We all know that the sting of losing $50 feels way, way worse than the pleasure of finding $50. And that isn't just you being irrational. It's a feature of a predictive brain that is hardwired to be extra sensitive to potential threats and losses. It's a survival thing. Or how about the framing effect? You tell someone a medical treatment has a 90% survival rate, and it sounds pretty good. But you tell them the exact same treatment has a 10% mortality rate, and suddenly it sounds terrifying. The facts are identical, but how you frame them completely changes your perception of risk because it triggers different mental models about gain and loss. And then there's this one, the false consensus effect. Because our own constructed reality feels so completely real and objective to us, We have this powerful built-in bias to just assume that, well, most other people see the world the same way we do. We basically project our internal model out onto everybody else. But here's the really important thing to understand about all these effects. They are not bugs in your mental software. They are features. Think of them as shortcuts or heuristics that allow this incredibly complex system to make fast, good enough decisions in a really complicated world. They're the signature of an efficient, predictive brain. All right, so we've seen the raw materials, the mental blueprints, and even some of the quirks of this system. So what's the big picture here? What does this all mean for you and your experience of life? Well, it means we have to completely throw out that old intuitive model of perception as a passive camera. The new reality, the one that's backed by a mountain of scientific evidence, is that you are the architect of your own experience. It's an active, subjective construction built from your own unique models and past experiences. Ultimately, the science on this is pretty undeniable. The world you experience isn't a clear window into some objective external reality. It is a personalized, biologically generated simulation, actively and dynamically built by that incredible predictive engine sitting inside your skull. And that leaves us with one final kind of mind-bending question to think about. If your reality is a unique, personal construction, and my reality is too, how do we ever manage to agree on anything? How is it even possible for us to share a world at all? Now that's a puzzle to take with you.